Hey, what's up guys? It's Sher and I am Steven Universe Trash. If you're wondering why I don't sound enthusiastic, I just woke up. So this was episode 75 and it's Steven's birthday. The one episode that we've all been very confused about because everyone thought Steven was a lot younger than what he was. And now we found out that he's 14 and now we actually know why. Steven kind of stopped aging at the adolescent age, so he hasn't really grown anymore since he was 8. So he's basically been physically the same age since he was 8. And he watches Amethyst as she's putting some things up for Steven. He watches her stretch her body out and put it up, and for whatever reason, he decides time to grow up, but instead of aging himself because he doesn't feel any older, he stretches out his body. And he does it to impress Connie because Connie ends up having a talk with his father about aging. She was like, will he always be older than me but younger than me in a way, because he hadn't aged physically. And he tells her, we don't know how aging is going to work for Steven because gems don't age and he's human. He's a mix of the two and they weren't exactly sure how it works. Now I'm pretty sure it's canon that Steven is always going to be the age that he feels. So even though he's turning 14, he still is very young and cute and childish in a way. Even though he's very adult in some ways, he's also very childish. So he hasn't really grown up much. So as he decides to stretch out his body, Amethyst finds out and she sees that it's stressing him out and he's sweating. It takes a lot of energy. And she's like, yo, little man, if you keep doing it like this, you're going to end up hurting yourself. You have to, let this go. Because as he was, aging himself up, he was getting, taller, and then his shirt turned into a crop top. The new shirt that Connie got him ended up being too short, and all of his clothes were too short, and he was taller than her, and all that stuff is very obvious. You can see it in the show and in the promo and everything. And he's like, well, I'm half human, so maybe it'll work differently for me. And no, it doesn't. As Connie and him begin to dance together, she says something that really freaks him out. And she's like, I can't wait to grow up with you. But he doesn't really know if he's actually growing up because he was, in a way, he was kind of lying to her. He was saying, I just aged up magically, how he do. But in reality, he was just stretching his body out, so he hadn't grown up, he just got taller. And because of that, he got really freaked out, and one thing led to another, and he turns himself into a baby. And the gems have no idea what to do with this baby. They're like, what the heck? I don't know what to do. And Pearl was like, don't give him to me. And I've always had this canon idea, headcanon, that Pearl and the crystal gems did not know how to deal with a baby. And it was so funny because Garnet takes off her glasses and she blinks all 3 of her eyes. So it's 1, 2, 3. And Steven looks at her and then he just starts crying again. And she's like, our magic does nothing with this baby. And Greg takes over because that's his territory. Amethyst shapeshifts into a car seat, and he, Connie, Amethyst, and Steven all go for a car ride. And Greg's a little bit I don't understand. Car rides usually calm him down. And Connie ends up giving this beautiful monologue about how she doesn't care what age Steven is. She's always going to be his friend. She always wants to be around him. And they end up spending the tent together, him as a baby and her as herself in this little tent. And when they wake up, Steven is back to his normal age because in reality he was doing it for Connie. And when Connie finally says, I don't care what age you are, what you look like on the outside, you're my friend and that's what matters, he can finally go back to normal. But the whole situation made him age. So then he ends up getting like a hair on his face, and suddenly he is a teenager because he has a hair on his face. And he ends up being shorter than Connie again, and the whole episode was really warm and heartfelt, and I loved seeing like baby Steven. That was really interesting, and I love supportive Amethyst. She's very supportive, even though she's like, yo, you shouldn't be doing that. She's like, I mean, you can do it if you want to, and I'll try to help you out when it fails. I think that's really sweet, and it's really nice, and I love watching Steven and Connie's relationship. It's my favorite thing in the world. It's literally so sweet and so loving, and there's obviously a mutual tone of affection and love there. That's probably one of the main reasons they fuse, and the reason they're so close is there's a connection there, and that's so well written. There's no reason for them to grow up any faster than they are. Connie's only 12 and he's 14, and I don't know, there's a beautiful connection there, and it reminds me a lot of my own relationship with my best friend, who I talk about all the time, so you guys know who I'm talking about. Yeah, it was so sweet. I love it so much. It was great. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to. I love talking about SQ, so if you leave a comment, I will love you until the end of time. Bye!